Hello and welcome back to Phoenix World Championship. Once again, we welcome you from, this time, Understop, Sweden. The fourth round of the championship. The qualifying is currently ongoing. This excessively not really flat track that was built on a Swedish runway has not yet welcomed real DTM machinery, but it will be host for our virtual DTM cars in the fourth week of PWC, as cars are still having their qualifying runs, still have about 3 minutes left, with, well, quite an interesting layout. It has very uneven racing surface, which will make this round really challenging for everybody involved. But before we go into what makes this track, let's first look at how this championship is going. Here are the standings before this round. In the team's championship, Timberwolves race, McLaren team and Photon Burst properly took over the lead from M-Power and PRT Gold, who are gonna be squabbling for the second place. Well, not this round, but overall, hopefully. And in the Drivers' Championship, McLaren team, after a disastrous round at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, is currently just 10 points ahead of his teammate Photon Burst. We'll see if the gap is gonna increase or decrease, and you see the rest of the points after Timberwolves. The rest of the top 5 is occupied by Audis, 2 PRT Gold cars, and Waffles in an independent entry. One PRT Gold car and Waffles are both in this race to challenge our leaders to see if anything's gonna change in terms of championship after this race. The drop week has already been implemented, so all the points gathered will be added to the total. They might not be added in the same proportion, as drop weeks come and go and somebody is gonna cash in their current drop week, etc, but from here on out we should be able to consistently figure out who is how far away in terms of points. Speaking of points, here is the situation in the Support Championship, where the race in Understop finished last week, and here is the top 3 in the championship. Photon Burst still in the lead after 8 races. McLaren Tim, who just completed his qualifying runs, here is second, 13 points behind, and Gunses from Conflagrating Dipsnout is currently in third. It's still a tight battle in Support Championship. If you want to join that, please proceed through the link at the Twitch channel. And more points. Now points about this track, the Understop Raceway, located in Sweden. Located on an old runway, 8 turns since 1968, but all 8 of them are treacherous. Turn 1, Sodra, the turn that seems to be never ending, with a big bump right in the middle. After that, a long straightaway, ending up in a tight 90-degree turn with a treacherous curb on the outside. Turn 5, Opal, and turn 4 are cambered turns. They will help your car turn, but at the same time, if you go a little bit too far, you will go over the crest and into the wall. And turn 7, the Continental Carousel. It's flat, it's bumpy, you have to be incredibly patient throughout this carousel. As we see Photon Burst losing his car on his last qualifying run and not gonna improve anymore. So waiting for one car to complete his run before we're done with the qualifying. McLaren Tim seems to be on pole, and Gunses steals front row from Photon Burst at the last possible moment. So Gunses will be starting second, 0.372 behind the leader, and Photon Burst in third. Behind them, G-Man in fourth, Trampel took 5th place, Neon Tiger in 6th, Waffles in 7th and Martin is in 8th in our 8-car field. Not the biggest field today, but we'll see how tight they're gonna be. If they're gonna be any tight, that is. It's a relatively short circuit, so, well, we might see some lapped cars and we might see closer traffic than usual between leaders and backmarkers. Not too many opportunities for an overtake. We might see some sense in turn 2. Once again, the DRS is gonna be quite important throughout this race, as the straight on the runway is incredibly long. You might win about 2, maybe 3, maybe 4 tenths on a straightaway alone, and that will all come down to the braking zone into a relatively tight turn. But now you're looking at our leader, the pole sitter, number 71, the Phoenix World Championship reigning champion, McLaren Tim, who took a pole once again. And we're gonna wait and see if he can convert yet another pole into a win and hope that his teammate has some struggles behind him. Gunses representing the PRT Gold in his Audi will make sure Tim does not have an easy ride all the way through. Remember, last week, Tim, from the very start, Tim spun his wheels and got to the back of the pack and also managed to get a penalty for his rejoin. So he might be extremely cautious this round, as we do have lights and they're about to go red. All 5 and now a 6. And lights out and away we go for a 20-minute race. Gunses decides to slot back. He does not challenge the leader. He tries to save his second position as they come out of turn 1 for the first time. Foden is gonna be under pressure, a little bit sketchy from Neon Tiger and Martin in the back. Remember, the tires are cold. And here we go, the snake coming towards turn 2. Gunses is looking, Gunses on the outside, McLaren Tim on the inside, side by side into turn 1. Tim very defensive, saves his first position. Back behind we have a couple of cars going wide, but still everybody is light of stern as of now, with Neon Tiger and Martin having a little bit of trouble on cold tires, but McLaren Tim weathered the storm for the first couple of corners and now he will try to run away as Gunses and Foden will be chasing. The member of, we see Trempel, I believe, is off the track a little bit. He was in the grass and he did not surrender position to Waffles, but now it's a close battle between them. Trempel is going defensive on the back straight coming towards turn 6. So far so good for the German. But you'll see that the gaps might fluctuate quite a bit between the turns. Couple of archetypes of turns, I guess, on this track, and cars might be set up for some particular set of turns. The camber turns with a little bit of camber, the long straightaway, the couple of 90-degree turns that's set up before the sweepers. Any of them might be the difference, and any of them might be an advantage for a particular team, a particular car. And at the same time, we see some cars improving compared to the usual situation. I'm looking at PRT black car of Jimin, who we're gonna have on screen momentarily, who is currently occupying 4th place. Good qualifying run for car number 19, and currently still in 4th, defending against Trempel early on in the race. So decent situation for him overall. The field strung out a little bit. Nobody is in the attacking range. Gunses is trying to hang on behind McLaren Tim, who had a good start and is now trying to run away. Fordenburst is trying to hang on behind to keep this a 3-car fight as Jimin is slowly losing that train as they complete lap number 2. Laps are about a minute 40, minute 30, minute 31 long at the start, but we're gonna look at 122s further on, and it looks like Trempel had a little bit of a spin out of a last turn and finally lost the position to Waffles. I'm not sure if there was contact between them. I don't think they were close enough, but Trempel lost a position and now under fire from Neon Tiger. There's no DRS available just yet. It will be available at the end of this lap, I believe, unless I'm completely mistaken, which is entirely possible. Won't be the first or the last time from me. But Trempel manages to stay ahead for now. We'll see, the back straight is gonna be coming and the draft is still quite severe. A minute 22, minute 23 laps at the race pace with warm tires. Maybe dipping in a 121 territory. So we're gonna have quite a few laps of this track, which is relatively short compared to what we used to have before. We might have a little bit more traffic despite a smaller field today. Everybody is kind of stringing ourselves out, apart from, well, this duo, who's still within a second and basically matching times as Gunses is chasing the McLaren team. Let's see if DRS is gonna be open. DRS is open. You see that green box at the bottom right of a dashboard light up, and we'll see that the car is pulling just a bit closer, inching closer to the car ahead, as Gunses gets the braking zone all kinds of wrong, locks up the tires on entry, tries to avoid the curb and slides on exit, lost instantly a couple of seconds and now under fire from Photon Burst. Everything that went wrong, and the commentator's curse is alive and well as we proceed with that battle. I bet team manager is not going to be happy with that development, as from trying to fight for the lead, Gunz is now under fire for second and third. Thankfully no Mr. Grinder to challenge him for that podium. So maybe it will end up well for him until he throws it in the wall, which is still entirely possible. But further down the grid, we see Waffles slowly but surely catching up to G-Man for 4th position. The American has been steady, but the Swede at his home race is trying to get a good result and got 8/10 on his opponent. Trempel is even faster, but we saw the notice about Photon Burst. Photon might be under fire for DRS infraction. Might have used too many, might have used too early. It couldn't be too early because I believe he was close enough to Goose. Might be an extra use at some point. So race control will definitely take a look at that. And Photon might be on the short end of a stick here. It feels like the race just barely started, but we are already about a third through the race. We still have a couple of battles going on, mainly this one we have on screen, as Waffles trying to chase G-Man, who is slowly losing the trio of leaders. Still not close enough to fight. It looks like line of stern between everybody right now. Gunz is set at 22.5 with Photon 23.4. Meanwhile, McLaren Tim at trying to figure out where the fast lap was set, if he just did it or if it was earlier at 122.317 being the fast lap of a race, is still in the lead and increasing that lead. Now at 2.9, almost 3 seconds, he's almost out of DRS range from Gunz, who's now going to be under heavier fire from Photon. Now he doesn't have support of the letterbox. As Waffles gets closer and closer, we risk once again to go on board with the driver. The home race for number 30. Oh, there's a little bit of technical difficulties for number 19, who's warping all over the road. Obviously gonna added challenge to Waffles to try and get around. Maybe he'll sit back a little bit, trying to figure out a safer place to get by, maybe a straightaway, maybe wait for a mistake. But it's definitely gonna be challenging. So far he's close enough. He has support over DRS, he just needs to make a move stick. Behind him, Trampel is also wheeling his car, trying to get closer. So if he sits behind G-Man for way too long, it might hamper his progress as the German closes the gap. A little bit of a grasp, but still a better exit at number 19. And Waffles is gonna try to go around the outside, side by side, 19 and 30. Who's gonna get a better exit? G-Man is getting a better exit. Trampel is getting a creative exit, and Trampel is off the track and sideways. He rejoins the runway in the most unorthodox way ever. It's definitely not gonna help his time. He might drop behind Neon Tiger. That happens, but Waffles tries to get by G-Man once again, and it did not work out just yet. Waffles still behind as we reach halfway point of the race. Everything is happening. Trampel is a fast car, but he's definitely not being consistent right now. And instead of fighting for 4th and 5th, now he finds himself in 7th place. Another added challenge. Meanwhile, the battle at the top 3 has cooled down a little bit. Fordham Burst about 1.5 seconds behind Gunses, and he might want to get that 2nd place eventually to be able to fight in the championship. He had a great round at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. He will need a better round here to get close and maybe overtake his rival. Go on board with car number 17, Trampel from Monterey Simsport, the only Monterey Simsport entry today, is chasing Neon Tiger number 12. That's 2 BMWs racing one another at this point. Let's see if DRS is gonna be open this time. No DRS for Trampel. He is electing to save it. But meanwhile, Waffles gets around G-Man on a straightaway, and he completes the move by turn 2. So it was an easy way on the highway, and through he goes. So as I said, he just needed a little bit of help of a straight line speed to get by and get a safe move done. And that's exactly what he did. Still a couple of battles on track. G-Man is not willing to give up just yet. He's still on tail of Waffles. Fordham Burst boasts a fast lap for himself at 22.466, just a 10th behind McLaren Tim, and close the gap a little bit to Gunses. They still have quite a bit of time to get close and try to fight. Gonna keep an eye on that battle and see if it's gonna get any closer. Meanwhile, Trampel is not really starting to move on Neon Tiger. He's kinda lingering back a little bit. I wonder if he's waiting closer to the end of a race or he's struggling. He's still close, he still has the distance for the attack. Now he has the help of DRS this lap. Once again, it's a difficult track to overtake on lots of cambered turns. Not a lot of turns where you can just send the car and hope it sticks. So he's just following his opponent and looking, waiting for a place to pass. DRS open to help him stay within attack distance. Looks like he's losing a little bit, trying to get off the line compared to his opponent, who seems a little bit better on the throttle so far. Here's the exit of the final turn, turn number 8 on this track. A little bit of wheel spin at of the rear wheels, and now he has to have a good exit out of one, but you saw that bomb, and you saw Trempel sideways once again. The car seems to not be able to handle bombs really well, and now he lost that gap again. And it's not getting any better for the German, who now finds himself in 7th. But now we move forward in the field. Kunzes and Fordon burst. Now there's a second between them. Fordon has been inching closer and closer. Very slowly, but very steadily. Gonna be interesting to see if that ever works out towards the end of the race. Now it's 7/10. Fordon is finding his groove and get about half a second a lap off his rival, but getting close is one thing, overtaking is completely different, as we already saw earlier on. 22 flat from Fordon burst. That's the best lap of the race so far by quite a margin, by about 3/10. So the Dutchman turned on his jets, and let's see if it's good enough. With under 6 minutes to go in the race, they're gonna have about 5 more laps in race 1 of the weekend. That's plenty of time still to use all those DRS laps, close the gap and find a move. But at the same time, with the clock ticking down, it's gonna be added pressure. Going through the turns, exiting Opel, approaching the next Hansen turn, turn number 6, out of it and into the Continental Carousel they go, the seemingly never-ending turn, as they exit and go towards the last turn, Debakurvan. 22.2 from McLaren team, his fastest lap. As an answer to the teammate, he's still inches ahead, and I don't think there's gonna be competition for the lead. But back there, the still battle continues. Oh, we have a spin. Neon Tiger is sideways on the track and seems to be stuck. Trempel was close. I'm not sure if there was contact. We switched to that just as Neon Tiger was getting sideways, so we'll have to wait and see the steward verdict on that. We're not quite sure what happened. But back to the battle for the second place. That's Gunst and Fordenberg still close to one another. Still light in weight. Go on board, DRS wide open for Fordon burst on the back straight. Gunst is a little bit away from an apex and a little bit sideways. A erratic movement from a Latvian. He might have used up his tires a little bit more. Or it might just be a difference in driving style. Fordon a little bit calmer, a little bit more collected. But he's still the one behind. So it might not be benefiting him just yet. Another bump taken and back on the main straight. The gap is quite big. The gap is about 0.4 of a second between them as they approach the runway. It's way too much to be compensated by the DRS, which is not even active this time around. And Photon loses it under brakes. And I bet that's all she wrote for that battle. Just a bit of a mistake under braking. And sideways he goes, and 3 seconds down already. So Fordon is not gonna get second place unless something ridiculous happens. Gunst will stay on the top row for race 2. As he's gonna get hunted down for Fordon for 40 more minutes. Meanwhile, further down the pack, Jimin refuses to give up, still chasing Waffles. 1.2 seconds between them as we have time for a couple more laps in the first race. Not much going on the rest of the track. We have quite solid gaps all around the field. I'm trying to figure out if there's gonna be lap traffic. So far there is a straightaway between the first and the last car on track. Everybody's kinda evenly distributed across the track. One second between Waffles and G-Man. The number 19 Audi driver is doing his best to close the gap and maybe try to make a move at the end. Let's see if something happens. He's taking turn 1. Let's see if DRS is gonna be open. He will have it available. He does have enough laps. The DRS is not open. He might be out at this point. So I'm not sure anything's gonna happen. Champel is about 3 seconds back. A little bit way too far. But looks like Jimin is losing time. He lost almost a second on that straightaway. Maybe marginal on fuel. As he keeps losing time, we'll go on board once again and see if he's saving anything. That yellow flag closer to the end. I don't see any problems with anybody, so might have been a little bit off track. Got 2 seconds back, but seems like he's still going, so I think he's okay for now. We still have 2 more laps as the leader officially crossed the start-finish line, and we have 15 seconds to go. So 2 more laps in this race for everybody. Photon is now 9 seconds back of Gunzer, so it might have been Photon going off track once again. So something went really wrong for him closer to the end of the race. Now Gunzer's 8 seconds back of Tim, and Photon is 9 seconds back of Gunzer's. With this trio being the closest of the bunch on track currently. But still not close enough for the attack. Just have to wait and see if anybody makes a mistake closer to the end. Meanwhile, I believe McLaren team has passed Marzen. Yes, Marzen is now classified as a lap back, as we can see here. The next car is going to be about 20 seconds up the road, so I think he's safe right now in this position. Not going to deal with lots of lap traffic till the end of the race. Continue to monitor the battles behind. Jimin slowed down a little bit, but that allowed Champel to close the gap. Now it's about 1 second. There might be some fuel differences because Jimin keeps losing time on a straightaway quite a lot. There might be enough time for an attack from number 17. Less than a second between them and 1 more lap. We're gonna go on board with car number 17 to spectate the final lap. It looks like Jimin does not have any DRS laps left, so it might contribute to the troubles on the straight. We'll see if Champel saved any for the last lap as he exits using all the curb and some of the grass again. No DRS for the German. It looks like it's gonna be pure speed contest as everybody ran out of laps. It's a short lap, so everybody used up everything they could. 0.7 between them. And about a lap to do it. Meanwhile, our leader, McLaren team, controlled the race from start to finish and has 1 more turn to make. And car 71 is the winner of race 9 by some margin. Commanding lead and great victory for the American. Once more to his collection. Back in the pack, Gus is gonna finish second. Photo looks to finish third in the race with Waffles surviving the challenge from G-Man. But this battle continues. G-Man defending against Trampel. 3 tenths, and there might be just 1 move left into the final turn. Trampel looking, he has to get some overlap going into the carousel. He might be a little bit wide, but he might have a better exit. He seems a little bit too far. There is no launch. Good defense from G-Man. Will he be able to get the speed going? Out of a track. Oh, he was a little bit slow. But Trampel did not have a line to challenge him. There was an opportunity, but it didn't come to fruition as G-Man sits in 5th, Trample takes 6th, and Neon Tiger is gonna claim position number 7 in race 1 as your leader trio is bumping and grinding their way back to the paddock, as Waffles in the background, I believe, just murdered his own car. A race winner of race number 9, McLaren Tim. Commanding performance from the American. Really solid race. He managed to battle through turn 1, through lap 1, the challenge from Gunses. And managed to basically secure the lead there and never gave it up. Solid performance from everybody. Still close racing all across the board with some moves, maybe even in the last turn. So we're gonna wait and see what happens in race number 10 and race number 2 of the weekend. It's gonna happen after a short break, but for now, grab your drink of choice, sit back and relax, and we're gonna be back with you soon.
Does it improve the lives of people? That's the true measure of any technology or any new investment. And you hope to God that basic core human element is never lost, no matter how technologically advanced we get as people. So the human case has always been strong for what direct relief does. People who are poor or stuck in these terrible circumstances need help. That basic idea to listen, not impose, to be respectful and not arrogant is still as valid as it was in 1948. Principles really don't change, and I think direct relief, fortunately, started with good ones of being open-minded, kind of big-hearted with respect to people's needs, and hard-headed when it comes to other people's money. When you look back and think direct relief has played a significant role in many of the signature humanitarian events over the past 70 years, the combination of those characteristics has served the organization well, and they're sort of timeless. You're surrounded by inspiration if you see it. I think anytime, if you've never done something, or you've done something at one scale, it's scary to think how you can do it at 10 times the scale. But at the end of the basic decision was pretty easy. Why would we not do this when the signals were all pointing in the right direction? The dedication of the building is really a rededication to the cause, to the idea, and a commemoration to the people whose generosity made it possible. What it represents is a much greater capability to help more people with tools that we have embedded in it, with the experience of 70 years. To bring those together in this building so we can do more in the same efficient way we've always tried to do it is really exciting. And we are sobered by the challenge, but deeply thankful for the opportunity to keep doing what Direct Relief has been doing for the past 70 years.
There's going to be contact. Marco Wittmann, he's out onto the runoff area.
Go fully into my car.
Keep going.
So this is extraordinary.
This is DTM, proper racing.
Watzenshow for elephants.
当中的摩纳哥大奖赛。
down to the pine trees, looking for lost hopes and dreams. I feel you breathing in your heartbeat, spinning tires set alight, fire on the street. These concrete skies make pitch black nights. We carve our names with our headlights. Open your eyes and you will see home is you and me.
Hello and welcome back to Phoenix World Championship, where we have just under 3 minutes before we begin the second race of the weekend. 40 minutes plus 1 lap, 1 mandatory stop. So we might have some pit shenanigans as well on this track, since the pit entry and pit exit are located in wild spots. The pit entry is gonna be wider exit of the Continental Carousel, so it's gonna be before the final turn, and the pit exit is on the runway, so after turn 1. It's basically the whole Joker lap you have to take, and you have to exit just right out of the pit road onto the runway with cold tires. It's another added challenge for the drivers that they're gonna take at least once in their race. But the winner of race 1 and the pole sitter for race 2, McLaren Tim from Timberwolves Racing, the championship leader, is ready to take yet another race and try to get yet another win. The top of the grid is the same as it was for race 1. Number 71 on pole, 000 of Gunsers in second, and 28 of Fordenburst in third place. Half a minute to go, a little bit of screen shake, it's fine. It's fine. As we're waiting for the lights to go green for the second race. It's 2 Mercedes versus an Audi, with another Audi looking behind. And someone's horn going bonkers as we're ready to start race 2. The lights on, the engines overpower the horn, and away we go for 40 minutes plus 1 lap. Good start from both leaders. Gunses once again takes defensive line, trying to not let Foden through. Does not challenge Tim into turn 1, side by side between Waffles and G-Man as they go onto the main straight. No DRS early on, just pure horsepower behind them. Trampel is looking for a move. Good start from McLaren team, who saves his position for now. But the battle roars for P number 4. G-Man so far emerges victorious, but Waffles is side by side trying to go round the outside of turn 3. They're still gonna be side by side. The next turn is cambered, so the inside line might work better for G-Man if he manages to stay there. But Waffles closes the gap, and Trampel sails off the track completely, and now dead last has to jump over the crest to rejoin. And he rejoins back in last place. Meanwhile, the top 3, a line of stern with Waffles taking over P number 4 from G-Man, Neon Tiger and Marson 6th and 7th, and Trampel will have to fight back from last. That seems to be the summary of lap 1 of this race. We're not sure if Trampel hit the wall as a result of that off-track excursion. He might have to pit early and have to survive the whole race on one compound. We're gonna wait and see if he does come to pits. No, he continues on the main racing line, so there was no damage and might not have been any contact, just time lost. Foden is a little bit behind the leading duo once again. Guns is putting on the pressure on Tim early into the race, but this time he has double the amount of time to make the move happen, but just as well double the amount of time to make a mistake. Decently close, the DRS is gonna be available starting from next lap, so the job of Gunsers right now is to keep as close as possible to the race leader and maybe get a move going towards turn 2. We had reports of some technical issues race-wide, which might have affected the DRS implementation and the DRS tracking and scoring system. So some drivers that might have had DRS available weren't able to open the flap. We'll see if it's rectified for this race, and we might see more opportunities. Remember, they have 12 laps worth of DRS if they're eligible for it. It's still plenty. I might have already completed 2 in 3 minutes they've been racing, but 12 is still a decent number, and we'll see if anyone will use as many as possible. We saw it on a wide angle. There was a gap between 2 pieces of the rear wing for Gunses, so his DRS was open. You can visibly see it open, and you might see it open, and now you can see a little gap you can see through in the rear wing. That is the DRS flap opening on the straightaway. McLaren team though doing everything he can to get away, build some gap and make sure he's not under pressure. G-Man goes past Waffles in a battle for 4th, and Waffles is off the track and goes all the way to last place. That was turn number 4, that was start Curven, which was all turn 1. And Waffles either made a mistake or had a collision with G-Man. We're not quite sure again what happened. Unfortunately, no replays available for us right now. Meanwhile, Trampel in 7th place, catching up to the first opponent. He'll have to pass with the race pace. It's gonna be Marzen in 6th place currently. We'll see if a move happens. Trampel will have to be calm and collected. Plenty of time for himself to make something happen. No need to rush things, but he can't let himself get stuck behind Marzen either. It's a difficult equation for the German. DRS is open though, and he's closing in considerably. A little bit loose on exit, really loose on exit. Trampel is trying to just deja vu his way through these turns. Obviously tires are still a little bit warming up for the start. It's just 4th lap of the race. And uneven racing surface is definitely playing its role in the struggle. He's off the track a little bit at the exit, trying to race the cars ahead. So now we're looking at a 4-car train, 5th all the way through 8th. Neon Tiger, Marzen, Trampel and Waffles. Here you see all of them together, close by and racing for position. 22.5 from McLaren team, 22.9 from both Gunses and Foden Burst. So the leader is slowly driving away as 2 guys behind are holding station. 5 minutes into the race, Waffles catching up to Trampel. Waffles might be able to make a move sooner rather than later if he exits turn 1 nicely and able to set up his opponent for the straightaway. However, he's not gonna get a good draft and good overspeed because Trampel has his DRS open too. It's a big DRS snake all the way to Neon Tiger, who just fell out of DRS range from G-Man. Another moment of being loose for Trampel. He's trying to close the door, but not close enough. Side by side with Waffles, better on the brakes for Trampel, but can he stop the car in time? He can. Waffles touches the inside curb a little bit. It's very tall. You don't want to touch that at all. So he wiggles a little bit and loses that positioning and has to slot right back where he was in 8th place. The big beneficiary of all this squabble is currently G-Man, who tries to drive away because he's no longer in DRS range. Now he's back within DRS range with Neon Tiger. It's close, and Marzen off the track and into the wall. Marzen lost the car and hit the inside wall. That's definitely gonna be some damage on car number 8, or car number 22, sorry, as it rejoins. Let's see if he gets into the pit lane. Oh, you can hear something is not right with the car, and he's the first one to get on the pit road. And I I believe he's gonna park the car and that's gonna be it for the British driver. He's not gonna take the repairs and try to climb back. That is it for him. Meanwhile, the battle continues at the bottom of the standings. Waffles and Trampel close to each other. Waffles is trying to make a move, but no cigar just yet. Juban barely hanging on, trying to stay away from the DRS range. It's hovering about 3 seconds. It's very close. And might be even closer. Trample off the track again looking. Seems to be a never-ending battle. Neon Tiger managed to get a little bit of a breather because of a battle behind him. They seem to be preoccupied with themselves more than him. And that's helping the white and orange BMW to get away a little bit. Fastest lap of a race so far posted by Gunsett, 122.485. He's now 1.5 behind the leader and closed by a couple of tenths. So he's not done yet. There's still battle there. And they're still all in DRS range. Though being in DRS range that early, but not close enough, might be playing a cruel joke. They might not have anything left for the end of a race. So somebody might be starting to play tactically. And just not using DRS and just hanging back and waiting for an opportunity later. Once again, difficult turn 2 for Trampel, who is all over the curb, but not willing to surrender the position to Waffles. So that train continues to choo-choo along. 10 minutes of this race are done, and I believe as soon as Trampel decides to drive on track for once. Oh no! He's off the track again and he's hard into the wall! He crested turn 5, one of the hotspots. Opel, which we mentioned, had a big crest and big camber. He went off the crest and all the way into the wall. And it was a hard hit for the German. We'll see if his car is okay or if he needs to pit. He definitely lost a lot of time, about 15 seconds lost. We'll see if he can continue driving this car. Waffles gets past Neon Tiger. We're looking at what happened to Neon. He's a little bit loose, might have been a mistake. He lost a couple seconds. So Waffles gets a couple of freebies here, and now we'll be trying to hunt down G-Man. Trampel goes into the pit lane, maybe for a quick fix or just to get the pit stop out of the way. Might as well look how the pit lane is working here. We're gonna see after that pit stop. It's not the long pit stop, so whatever repairs he had, they were not significant enough to warrant a lengthy stop. Now he's gonna go all the way around turn 1, the long way around with a couple of corners. And the way he continues right here, he is gonna rejoin all the way at the start of a runway. Oh, and he's sideways again. The cold tires playing a cruel joke on Trampel, who spun it coming out of pit lane, losing even more time. As leaders are approaching on the other side of the straight. 122.220 from Gunsen. He's closing and closing. You see Trampel ahead, almost a lap down, but Gunsen is now 1.2 behind. And we go on board for the Latvian. Please don't disappoint us this time. Number 000, Phoenix Racing Team Gold entry of Gunses. Letterbox wide open, chasing McLaren Tim at the ragged edge of adhesion. But as we're 10 minutes in, I believe this is as good time as any to go with pure sound for the first time today. McLaren team trying to make his way past the lapped car of Trampel. He completes the move, but the question is, will Gunses have any problems trying to get around, and will he lose time? It might be a crucial moment as Trampel finds himself in the middle of the battle for the lead. Gunses lost a few tenths in the previous lap. Or rather at the start of this lap, because previous lap he posted 122.193, which is the new fastest lap of a race. He's trying to push as hard as he can, but he's a little bit stuck behind Trampel, who's not willing to move just yet. Meanwhile, Waffles got around G-Man. We completely missed that, but the battle still continues. It was on the straightaway. The similar pass that Waffles made stick in the first race. Gunses lost almost a second to Tim. And number 17 is not willing to get out of the way just yet. It might be causing the Latvian more and more time, as Trampel is still in the way, still in front of him. And still in front of him. A whole second lost for Gunses in front of a lapped car. Now he's 2.5 seconds back. The Latvian must be fuming right now. Trampel is not willing to give up just yet, and now he just concedes the position a lap later. The gap is now 2.2. All that work Gunses put towards getting closer is not really for anything. It was all for naught after that encounter. G-Man is the first one to get a race and pit stop. Might have been a smart idea for Gunses to dive onto the pit lane, I'm not sure. I don't think he expected car number 17. He didn't expect him to be in the way for that long. So now it's an uphill battle for Gunses with 2.2 seconds. He was the faster car so far. We'll see if he keeps being the faster car. And if he's able to close that gap back up. He used a lot of DRS to get where he was. So he might be running out of DRS laps, which helped him get closer and get into the draft. Foden burst 4.7 back. He's not catching up too much. So Foden was not able to particularly use that situation to his advantage. Posted 122.6, and he's still yet to get past Trampel. So Foden might be the actual first driver to dive onto the pit lane to avoid lap traffic. Might help him overall. Not quite sure as we're approaching the halfway point of the race. 2.6, 2.5. So Gunses is starting to lose a little bit of time to McLaren team. I'm not sure if there is still DRS advantage or not for the Latvian, if he ran out of it or not. .8, and McLaren team is currently almost out of DRS range, doing everything he can to make sure Latvian doesn't get closer again. We're gonna look at the times. Might look at somebody diving onto the pit road right now to try and do something about the status quo. I would expect Gunses or Foden. Gunses drives past the pit entry. Looking at Foden, and Foden, I think Foden is coming in. Yes, Foden is coming in, the first of the top 3 to get onto the pit lane. Foden burst car number 28 on the pit lane. We'll see if it works or not. It's a risky strategy because he will have worse tires at the end, and he will need to warm them up now. So the undercut is not particularly working at the start, but considering he is the only one of 3 drivers who did not lose time racing Trampel, he might win from it. He rejoins the track. Waffles on the pit lane, so there's not gonna be no traffic for Foden. As he rejoins, he'll have a difficult lap ahead of him. We're definitely gonna stay on board with the Dutchman to see how he handles his outlap. The entire gets past Waffles. We're gonna see where G-Man is in relation to Waffles. That might be an interesting dilemma. We have to switch to G-Man. There was a race, and we'll see where the Swede emerges. He just left the pit lane, but once again he'll have to go wide and around turn 1 to rejoin. He is now back on track. He is quite far away. I don't think G-Man had a good outlap. Meanwhile, Gunses is the one who gets onto the pit lane next. He reacts to Photon Burst. He does not want to offset his strategy against the third place too much. He wants to stay with his rival, even if it means losing the leader a little bit. McLaren team is gonna be on the longest run in the first stint of 2. We'll see if it works out, and we'll see where Gunses rejoins, how far away it's gonna be, and how good of an outlap he has. We weren't able to spectate Photon because of a battle between Waffles and G-Man. Let's see if we're gonna be able to spectate Gunses here. 7.5 second gap, 7 second gap to Photon. It's gonna shrink a little bit because Photon is warming up his tires now, and Gunses still needs about a lap to do so. I believe the gap is substantial to stay ahead, but we'll see how it's gonna affect the gap to Tim. We'll see. Gunses takes an easy line around. He does not chuck the car into the corner. It's not gonna work on cold tires. No tire warmers in these cars. The tires are ice cold when they go onto the car, and they need some time to warm up. Down to 5 seconds for Photon. This is the difference between warm and cold tires. It's ridiculous. The McLaren team is in the pits. Leader is in the pits. He reacts to the cars ahead. He does not want to push any further. He wants to stay with his rivals and prevent any undercuts from happening. Gunses now with warmer rubber. Let's see where Tim rejoins. The gap was about 3 seconds. Tim is out of the pit lane and he rejoins now. He is at the exit of turn 1. He's on the straightaway now. It's a substantial gap. You see that car ahead? That is McLaren Tim. It's 6 seconds now between those two. And it's gonna cost Tim another 3 or so to warm up his tires. So all depend if McLaren Tim makes mistake on new tires. On that it will depend if Gunses gets back into DRS range or not. Photon Burst gained about 3 seconds on an outlap. Looking at 5 currently between 2 leaders. Gunses needs another 2 by the end of a lap. His tires are not necessarily warm enough just yet to warrant the maximum grip, but they're improving if we compare it to McLaren Tim. But Tim is able to maintain some sort of a gap. He just gave up about 2 seconds worth of time to Gunses. He's able to get his cold tires up to temperature a little bit faster. He's almost a second faster on his outlap. Gunses up to 22.5, so the tires do not need more than 2 laps to warm up. He's out of DRS range. Let's see if he's gonna close any further. As this is the trio we have. McLaren Team in first, Gunses in second, and in the background, Photon Burst is in third. Neon Tiger is, I believe, the only car that's yet to pit, and he is on pit lane now. We're gonna spectate this pit stop to see where he emerges in that pack. He's gonna be somewhere closer to G-Man, who lost a lot of time, 11 seconds to Waffles. So might be a competition between him and Neon Tiger as the American from Element Zero Motorsport rejoins the track. Waffles goes by. It's gonna be another 10 seconds to G-Man. G-Man is now approaching turn 1, so Neon is gonna be ahead. But how far ahead, considering the cold tires? There is the car. Right behind him is G-Man. Car number 19, he can see him 1 second ahead. And remember, the leaders lost 2 to 3 seconds on the outlap due to cold tires. Neon Tiger locks him up. So it might be the battle here, and G-Man needs to get past on this lap if he wants to ensure the pass. He's looking for a move. He's inside. He will have the advantage under braking. Looking for a move. He locks him up a little bit. He's still looking. His tires are incredibly up to temperature. He pitted well. He pitted quite a long time ago, so he is in that sweet spot. And now his DRS should be wide open in the back straight to look for a move. He moves to the inside. Is he able to brake later? No, he does not go for it. He did not feel confident enough. That might have been his last chance for an easy pass. Now he has to work for it. Work for it hard. But now we do have a battle on our hands with 14 minutes to go, as Jimin is gonna pressure Neon Tiger. It's gonna take a couple more corners for the fresh tires on that 12 machine to get up to temp. But Neon with 141 outlap. It's probably one of the fastest outlaps today. He was pressured, but he came out of it successfully. Now it's an uphill battle for car number 19. We're gonna go on board with the American from Phoenix Racing Team Black, as we're gonna go once again with pure sound to see how that battle unfolds. A couple of aggressive attempts from the American, but none of them managed to get the job done just yet. As car number 12, Neon Tiger, is hanging on to his P5 with 10 minutes to go. What's important is that Trampel is 5 seconds behind. He managed to slowly but surely close that gap. And while those two are fighting, he's slowly clawing his way back up to them, and that might be a three-way fight. Oh, that fight just ended. Might Oh, and, well, the commentator's curse just struck literally everyone in Hansen turn, as first G-Man spun coming out of it, and then Trampel spun on the apex. Trampel now all the way back, 7.5 seconds back, and once again the fire from McLaren Tim, our race leader. So we'll see if Trampel is able to close that gap once again as timer ticks down. He'll need to get almost a second per minute of race. But still 1.5 between Neon Tiger and G-Man. G-Man was the faster driver. So we'll see if he's able to get close enough and try again in the remainder of the race. It's not much time left, but as long as there's time on the clock, it's still an opportunity. Our trio of leaders is kind of spaced out evenly, 6 seconds apart, Tim, Gunsis and Photon, and half a lap ahead of everybody else and starting to lap the field. Might be a challenge now for cars racing at the end of the back, who now have to deal with each other as well as the leaders. And as a proof to my words, G-Man is already back right on the tail of Neon Tiger with 8 minutes to go. Managed to compensate for that error and now looking for a move again. Very close between those two. Trampel made another mistake somewhere. Now he's 15 seconds back. He might have let... Yeah, he let the leader and he let P2 through at this point, so it definitely was a big mistake and he's completely out of the picture by now. Unfortunate, his charge from early pit was impressive, but it did not end well. Defensive position from Neon Tiger. G-Man tries to go around the outside. No room just yet. He'll have to try again. The leader is closing in. G-Man might be looking to make a move down now, or maybe wait for the leader and try to use him. But now he sends it down the inside. Will he be able to stop in time? He does! Oh! And the car jumps a little bit and there is contact and Neon Tiger is sideways and off the track. There was a side-by-side touch between those two, so stewards might have to take a look at that. What happened there? Not quite sure if it was technical issues or what. But now Neon Tiger is down in 6th. G-Man completes the move for 5th place. And a big scare for our leader McLaren team as this all unfolds in front of him. Trampel now 5 seconds back of Neon Tiger. We'll see what happens there if Neon is able to gain his composure back and not let another driver through. We have 6.5 minutes left, plus 1 lap. G-Man is slowing down. The leader is through. He slowed down a lot. He might want... He's definitely slow. It looks like there might be a redress on our hands, as he's definitely not hurrying his way through the field. He might see it as his error and might be trying to get Neon Tiger back through. We'll see how it unfolds now. As he's cruising around the track, he let McLaren team through. The next one is going to be Gunsis, who just made his way past Neon Tiger. There is Gunsis. It's going to be a little bit challenging for G-Man to get, if he wants to let Neon back through. It's going to be challenging for him to let him back through and not get under fire from Trampel, who's closing and closing and closing. 5 minutes to go in this race. This is the drama unfolding here in front of our eyes. There was a contact between cars 19 and 12, and it looks like car 19 is slowing down to redress the situation before stewards or anybody has anything to do with it and fix it right here. We'll see what happens here Jimin is off the track, he's slowing down. Guns is through, and now Neon is right behind him. Now we'll see what happens. Does he let him back through? Or does he stay in front to just give Neon a fighting chance? Does he feel that the overtake was complete at that point? We have Fortenburst behind Trampel, so it's another factor. It's incredibly difficult for everybody involved in this battle right now. As the clock winds down, if he wants to let Neon through, he has to do it now because the time is almost up. If he doesn't want Neon through, it's gonna be challenging for him to stay ahead with blocked cars and Trampel closing down. We'll see what happens. Neon's right behind. We're gonna see the end of that very soon. Trampel is still ahead of Fortenburst at the moment. I don't think Forten is gonna want to get by as fast as possible no matter what. The gaps are quite big. He might want to be saving the car till the end. Right, let's see what's going on. G-Man on the inside, Neon on the outside. If there's a way to swap positions, it's gonna be on this straightaway. So we're gonna see if Neon wants him through or not. Sorry, if G-Man wants him through or not. Don't think he's given up the position. I feel like he thinks that the overtake was fair, but the gap that ensued over it was not, and Neon goes round the outside. I might be talking out of my ass. I don't know if it was a move or if he redressed that, but either way, we're back to status quo. And we have 3 minutes to go. G-Man letting Fortenburst through, slotting back, and we'll try to use him to make an actual move stick. With 2:40 left in the race, here is the 3-car battle plus Forten in 3rd place, and that might go to the end. Even in a small field with seemingly large gaps, the guys still manage to find some battle. Fortenburst goes through, and now we have ourselves a race. 3 cars within 1 second. Neon Tiger number 12. The Element Zero Motorsport BMW. Number 19, the American G-Man in his PRT Black Audi. And number 17, the German Trampel in his Monterey Sim Sport BMW. They have about 3 laps to get it done. Let's see who has more DRS, more skill and more determination. And if I'm Fortenburst, I'm running away as fast as I can because we might see fireworks at the end of this. G-Man on the inside trying to defend against Trampel. Trampel goes around the outside and completes the move. What a ballsy move from a German. And he is now through. G-Man is struggling here, but now it's Trampel who's in the driver's seat trying to hunt down Neon Tiger. It's still close. Everybody's within 1 second of each other. Everybody's pushing to their limits, and we're about to enter the final minute of the race. Race control is about to get a whip out for some track limits that I see on the chatter. So the boys might have something to talk about after the race, but that's after the race. So far in the race itself, we're in for a spicy finish. G-Man is on the tail. There is a blink of the lights. He's letting Trampel know he's there, and he'll make a move if he has to. 30 seconds to go. I'm looking at where the leader is. The leader is currently approaching start curve in turn 4. He's not gonna make it to the start-finish line before the time expires. I don't think so. So we're looking for 2 more laps of action. I'm looking at the lifetime and at the leader with 10 seconds. He is now in the carousel, so he might cross the line just as time expires. Time expires now. He is not there, so he will have 1 more lap to go. We're gonna have white flag this time around for McLaren Tim. So whoever has... Trampel completely ignores track limits out of turn 4. Again, G-Man looking for a move, not close enough. They'll have 1 more lap to settle it. Neon Tiger built a little bit of a gap. He might be thanking G-Man for trying to make a move. He's going, but he's not brave enough on the brakes. They're still close to each other, and they have one more lap to settle their differences and figure out who's gonna be in top 5. Out of these 3, Neon Tiger versus Trample versus G-Man. 3 different teams, 2 different makes. And 3 determined drivers. G-Man is looking for a move. Not close enough at the exit to get an overlap. This is the last time they're going onto the runway straight. Who has DRS open? Neon Tiger does not have an advantage. He's too far from Photon Burst. I'm not sure anybody has any DRS left at all. The letterbox is, I believe, closed for Trample. I'm not sure about G-Man. So it's all up to driver skill for the last few turns on the last lap. Half a second between each of them. Is anybody gonna go for a launch? Is anybody gonna try and risk it all? It's a difficult decisions. They're gonna have one more good opportunity now at the exit of his turn. McLaren Tim crosses the finish line, and he's the winner of race 2, Sweeping Weekend. G-Man is a little bit sideways. Trampo's on the inside, side by side with Neon Tiger. Still side by side, they have to go through the carousel. But Neon Tiger manages to maintain position. Trample on the outside. Trample will have overspeed heading into the last turn. Will he be able to make a move? He's looking. Neon Tiger blocks, and he misses the turn. Neon Tiger misses the turn trying to block and loses out. Trample is in P number 5, followed by G-Man. What a finish! Just one turn too short for number 12. Absolute heartbreak for Neon Tiger. We'll need to make sure there was no contact. They were so close to each other, but it looks like it just overcooked it trying to defend against the late move. But our race winner, our weekend winner, and our championship leader, number 71, McLaren Tim, our reigning champ. What a performance for him. Great weekend overall, and well-deserved victory. Great weekend for our 000 driver of Gunses of Phoenix Racing Team Gold, who is now side by side with Forden after a good battle. Let's see if we can get somebody into the booth right now to have a chat. Let's see if somebody is willing to talk to us. Hello.
Hello.
Gunses, well,
Hi.
Can you call this weekend successful for yourself? Let's start with that.
For the most part, I would say it was successful. I got 2 second places, so not too bad. And I think I had the pace on Tim, but I didn't have the consistency, so all in all, it was good.
Yeah, P2 for you. You managed to get one of the Timberwolves racing cars this weekend. You had battle early on with Tim in race 2, but we saw you drop off before the pit cycle. Did Trample get in the way a lot, or just your tires, your consistency overall did not allow you to stay close to Tim in the middle of a race?
I would say part of it was because I was burning all my DRS uses in the first part of the lap or race, and I would say Trample, maybe I lost a little bit more time than Tim did in that exchange. But yeah, then I lost, I think, around a second in the pits as well, and then I just started dropping off due to consistency as well.
Well, still good performance. Saw lots of cars having interesting moments, and some for you in the first race. Just a little bit too overzealous on the brakes there?
In the first race, when I almost went straight into turn 2, I just clipped the grass on the outside with my rear, so the car just went to right, and I just had to lock on the brakes and hope for the best. which I managed to save the car, but the remainder of the race was basically driving with the vibrator in your hands with that flat spot I had.
Okay, and well, now after this race we're entering summer break. Do you like that we now have, well, more than a month till the next race, or do you think it can break the momentum you managed to build up to this race, climbing higher? Are you gonna enjoy the summer break?
Summer break will be good. Time to relax, rethink the strategy, maybe start thinking about the next races and the next tracks, which I think the next one is Monza.
Yes,
So that will be interesting. And yeah, the summer break is not a bad thing. I think I will use it to the fullest I can.
Alright, well, good luck to you with that, and congratulations, wow, I can't speak anymore, on a good weekend today.
Thank you.
Alright, let's see if we can grab somebody else. Let's see. Neon, hello, can you hear us?
Hello.
So, I can't say anything else other than what a heartbreak at the end. From our camera, we're not quite sure. Was there contact at the end, or just a little bit too hard on the brakes with the lockup, or too late on the brakes? What happened there?
That was just a little bit of lockup, I think, really. Like, it locked up at, like, the worst possible point. I thought I was good, and then all of a sudden the front just went, and I was like, well, that's how she wrote. I know where I'm going.
It was definitely a spectacular battle all the way through for yourself, G-Man. That little contact at the exit, it looked like some technical difficulties for one of you. We're not quite sure what happened there. Was it the same one on your end?
Yeah, G-Man, he went pretty far in on the inside of the corner, and there was space, and it pushed, like, whatever happened with his connection, it pushed him forward, and all of a sudden it pushed me back, so he thought he was clear. So he pulled up, and when it reset, it was like, oh, yeah, you're inside of the other car, so we're going to spin the other car. So it was completely just like some netcode stuff on his end, though. There was no malice or anything like that, and I was like, I realized as soon as it happened, I'm like, oh no, not now.
Well, even if there was a redress that brought us a great fight at the end, and looks like the whole weekend you were the conductor of a train of cars. Looks like in both races a little bit. Considering like the long trains of cars, is it better for you to be in the lead or to be the chasing car? For different drivers, it's different.
Generally, I find it depends on the situation. I think it's kind of weird like that. It really just depends on how the car is going. I think this week it might have been a little better to be the one at the rear, kind of doing the pushing, because I tend to find if I've got a rabbit in front of me or someone to chase, I tend to be a little bit better being the one chased. And it's not really a pressure thing, it's just that I feel more comfortable, I guess, thinking that, okay, there's not going to be someone making a dumb move, and this is from iRacing more than this group, because I'm pretty familiar with this group, and I know how everybody drives, so I'm not really so worried about it. But yeah, usually I'm just kind of used to being like, okay, is this person going to make a move on me, and should I be ready? How do I, I'm kind of thinking ahead a little bit, like, okay, if they're going to get inside on this corner, how do I get the better exit off for the next corner, so I can make sure that I kind of trap them on the outside where it's slower.
Okay, yeah, and well, gotta say though, in the second race you had one of the fastest, if not the fastest outlaps after the pit stop, where everybody was basically sure that Juman is gonna get by with just 1 second gap, knowing that leaders lost about 2-3 seconds easily on the outlap. You managed to warm those tires incredibly quick, and with 141, that was a blistering lap. Just something you practiced? Just something you managed to do on the fly?
That was on the fly, really. I just partially practice coming out of the pits every once in a while. You know, you'd spin, you kind of learn, okay, don't do this, don't do that. Kind of getting an idea of what worked and what didn't work coming out of the pits. So I think a lot of people probably were coming out in first gear. And I realized if I came out in second gear, I was a little bit slower coming onto the straight, but the car was more stable when I did that, so I didn't have that hiccup you get sometimes where the car wants, when you're in first gear and you hit the gas and the car just kind of wants to fishtail a little bit. When I was in second, I was noticing that it wasn't fishtailing really much at all. So I kind of figured if I came out in second, got onto the straight, I'd be a little bit slower coming out, but the tires wouldn't spin so much. And then from there, it's more just kind of braking a little bit earlier, knowing what gear you need to be in on the first lap. It's a little bit of a lower gear than when your tires are warm, so you're kind of keeping that in mind, keeping in mind where your braking points are on that initial lap on the cold tires, and then working from there and starting to get back into a groove.
Okay, well, overall, good battle for yourself. A little bit of a heartbreak in the end, but still a great performance. Lots to build on in the second part of the championship. Now we have a little bit of a break, but good luck to you in the rest of the championship all the way down to, well, basically winter time.
Thank you. Yeah, I usually find that these second half of these championships is a little bit stronger, so hopefully it'll be the same this.
Okay. Let's see the other side of that battle to hear us.
Yep, hello.
Hello, Trampale. That was one hell of a battle for you throughout race 2. From the wreck early on to the battle to the last corner and managing to get that P5. But first of all, with that crash, we talked about that corner quite a bit. Is it just a case of a little bit too late on the brakes, lock up, or what happened there?
You mean in the second race?
Yes.
Well, I collected the outside on the turn 4, which kind of made me unstable, and I was like not in the right gear, not in the right angle, so I kind of braked a bit too late and then just overcooked it, and that's all she wrote. And
that crest is murderous. And then you had a bit of a struggle with when lap cars tried to overtake you. Was your strategy just to try to hang on with them, try to maybe get some DRS, get some draft off of them? Because I saw you not yielding at all. Obviously it's not required, but you try to stay there with them as much as possible.
Well, normally when I'm getting lapped, I know I have the time to let them by. But I think I held up Gunch's a bit. But if I would have slowed down, I would have at least lost 1 or 2 seconds, and that way I think I lost half a second or maximum 1 second. So I don't know. I was just trying to not give away too much time to G-Man and Neon.
Well, it worked out for you in the end.
Yeah, it worked out because G-Man redressed, but I had a couple of small fuck-ups. Otherwise, I would have gotten them without the redress. I think 6 laps before the end, I was 4 seconds away from them, but then I fucked up, and then yeah,
we definitely witnessed it. Don't worry.
Okay, that's yeah. Then I also spun out of the pits, which was fun.
And we captured that too. We made sure to capture all of your fuck-ups. It's fine.
Nice. You didn't get the one in race 1 though, out of turn 1, did you?
I'm not sure. We might have missed some things. We'll have to look back and see. But now it's a summer break. We have more than a month till next race in Monza. Do you like the fact that we're going on a bit of a break here? Do you want, or would you wish we would have stayed in this high pace, trying to get through races, so you would stay on top of the things?
I mean, it's I think it's fine with the summer break. I mean, I'm sweating right now, so and it's not even hot. So summer break is definitely somewhere needed. Right now, with the situation though, with Corona, I think people are more at home right now, though. But yeah, so maybe it's a bit smarter to cut the summer break short. But yeah, you never know.
Well, we'll see how it goes. Fun weekend for you, and see you next time.
Yo, bye-bye.
And well, last but certainly not the least today, our race winner, our weekend winner, McLaren Tim, do you hear us?
Hey, how's it going?
Hello, hello. A bit of, dare I say, easy weekend for you today.
Yeah, it was surprising. I was kind of expecting, kind of like last weekend, we were gonna have like a DRS battle going down the long runway. But yeah, I think everything just came together. I didn't feel super under pressure. I like practiced a lot better this time. The setup was more comfortable, and the track is like, once you get to like know all the little like tricks and stuff, it's fairly, you know, consistent and repeatable, especially in these cars with like an actual suspension compared to the support of these cars.
It's definitely a change. And well, with the pit stop cycle and even before the cycle, you encountered some lap traffic. Some more willing to move than the others. How did it went for you overall, dealing with that and trying to stay on top of it and maintain your gap?
Oh no, it was perfect actually, because I got like a lap of DRS off of Trimpale, and then yeah, that was like the quickest lap then, and then I pitted, and then as I was coming out of the pits, Trimpale crossed the line on the track, and then I got another lap of DRS, and then I caught him again with the third lap of DRS. So despite being at the front, I managed to like maximize, like, you know, especially with Guntz's like spamming his DRS all through that first stint, watching him close down like very slowly. But yeah, it wasn't so bad. I think everyone was very respectable, and yeah, that was very convenient for me.
Yeah, maximum amount of points for you this weekend, so you are increasing your gap to your teammate, and by considerable margin, as Guntz has decided to step up and get second place this weekend. And now you have a little bit of a break as the momentum swings back in your favor. We'll ask a couple of drivers, but do you like the fact that now we have about 5 or 6 weeks of a break from a series, or would you want to just keep on rolling?
I think the break is quite nice. I think because in real life I'm gonna get pretty busy in the next couple of weeks as well, so it's actually worked out quite nicely. But yeah, hopefully, you know, today's form can kind of repeat itself throughout the season, but you know, it's a track by track basis for now, I guess.
And speaking of track by track, the next track, probably one of the most unique properties in the racing world. Next time we're going to Monza. What are your thoughts about the next race weekend and at PWC?
Yeah, I really don't know what to expect. I don't think I've ever experienced like anything like it, with like a proper DRS strategy being required to make the most out of it, I guess. So maybe I'll do some thinking on like how to approach the weekend beforehand, but other than that, you know, it'll be really interesting to say the least, so we'll see what happens.
Well, good luck to you and congratulations with a good weekend and strengthening your championship lead.
Thanks for the broadcast again, Jordan.
Thank you. Well. Number 71, McLaren Tim, once again victorious over his rivals, dominating performance overall, and now we're just gonna have a little bit of a break. Next race is gonna be in Italy, Monza. It's gonna be, as I look at my timetable, July 26. So almost 1.5 months, almost 2 months of no racing in PWC. As drivers take a break, we all wind down and we all get ready for the second part of a season where we are challenged with more difficult circuits and various challenges. Until then, we're gonna try to improve. We're gonna try to have better everything for you guys who keep watching and keep supporting us, and we are incredibly thankful with the whole broadcasting crew, administrative crew, tech crew, and everybody involved in this championship. throughout its lifetime. Now we are, well, over 3 years old, and hopefully still goes strong, hopefully not failing you guys, at least to some extent. And, well, with that said, once again, we are having a direct relief campaign, as you saw at the top of your screens. The links are in Discord if you're feeling generous to donate to a good cause. But with that said, that's gonna be it for me for today. And until next time, this is goodbye.